What's up, everybody? Thanks again for stopping by for another edition of March 4th with Mike Bauman. I, of course, am your host, Mike Bauman. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening from, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. If you're a returning listener, I greatly appreciate your continued love and support. And if you're a brand new listener of the show, man, thank you so much for hopping aboard that pirate ship. You can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube at March 4th Pod. I am over there on the TikTok at March 4th Podcast. The links to all of my stuff are in the podcast description for this episode. So that means if you made it here, then you found me somehow. And I truly appreciate each and every one of yous taking the time to check out another edition of the March 4th with Mike Bauman podcast. How's everybody doing, man? I hope that you and yours are all doing well. We're coming up on the end of the year here. We got 2 more shows here for March 4th before we close out 2024. So I just want to say thank you again to everybody who's taken the time to check out the show, everybody who likes and subscribes and tells a friend to tell a friend, anybody who leaves a comment or a rating or a review on any of the streaming services. All those things go a long, long way in helping the show get out to more people. And in fact, in 2024, the show has gotten out to the most people it's ever gotten out to since I came back and started doing this bad boy on a more consistent basis back in 2020 during COVID. And that's a huge testament to everybody out there who rocks with the show, man. So thank you to all of you, to my close friends, my close family. You guys know who you are. I love you very much. But to all of you who I don't know, man, including people who are brand new to this show, if this week's guest brought you here, thank you so much. I truly, truly appreciate it. It truly means a lot. And it's just cool to see something that I love to do translate with people in a positive way, man. Because that's really what I try to use this platform for is a place where artists can come on, or colleagues, business owners, friends of mine who come on the show, share whatever they're working on, and anything that they're persevering through, anything where they're marching forth in their own lives. And the fact that it's growing and it's translating with people is really cool, man. So thank you so much to everybody. And I'm not going to waste too much time because I have a tendency to rant. But this week's guest, say that 3 times fast. This week's guest is somebody who I've been wanting to get on. He linked up with another guy who's a friend of the show and a really good guy. And his debut full-length album just came out a week ago as this is hitting y'all's ears. So the timing of this was really awesome. He is none other than Adrian Rose. He's an artist based in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. This dude sings, he raps, he produces other people, and now he's given y'all his debut full-length album, All Caps, just came out on December 10th. It's a great listen from front to back, man. And he took his time working on it. He didn't rush it, and I really appreciate that. And this guy is part of the Big Eleanor Records family. Shout out to Danny No, friend of the show. Shout out to Shaw Calhoun. And he joined Big L earlier this year, and we talk about that. We talk about his friendship with Laddie Moran, also a dope rapper in his own right, man. He's part of the All Caps record, but yeah, man, it was just a great conversation to learn more about Adrian and how he got into music, to learn more about this record, how he linked up with Danny and Big Eleanor Records. And it was just cool to get him on. Again, some of my favorites from this record, Where We Came From, the lead single off of All Caps that they put out as like a teaser track to get people ready for the release. I really love. I love Rat Race. I love Waterfall. I really love Find Your Way, which is the last track before the outro on the album. Lady with the aforementioned Laddie Moran. It's just such a good listen front to back, man. And again, Danny has been a supporter of the show. He and I first got in touch, gosh, probably maybe almost going on 3 years ago now, 3 years ago, because we're coming up on 2025. And I had Danny on the show, I want to say, for the first time back in 2022. Shaw Calhoun, shout out, also part of the Big Eleanor Records family. He came on the podcast a few times, once solo, I believe, and then once with Danny. So to be able to get Adrian on here, another guy who's part of the Big L family, especially with his debut album release, I really appreciated him taking the time because it was really just cool to learn about him being meticulous with it and wanting to roll it out the right way and not rush it. and we talk about that process. We talk about Big L, Danny, Shaw, Laddie, the whole kit and caboodle, man. So without further ado, I'm going to shut my big yapper and give you guys my conversation with Adrian Rose. Here it is. All right, well, there we go. Adrian, thank you again so much, man, for coming on the podcast. Shout out to Danny and Big L. He sent me over the record, man, all caps, and I really loved it, man. So thanks for joining me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So usually on these things, I just like to let the conversation flow, man, and we'll get into all caps and your work before that because you've got releases on Spotify going back to like 2020, and you also produce for other people and make music. So usually where I like to start with people though is what was the music bug that bit you, man? Like do you remember the first moment? Was it an album? Was it somebody in the family? Like was there a moment that grabbed you when you were younger and got you going down the musical rabbit hole?
So when I was like really young, like toddler age and stuff like that, I was definitely into hip hop, and I don't know if you're like familiar with Swizz Beats, the producer for like DMX and stuff, but I would replay some of those beats, like just figuring it out on the keyboard, and I'm like, oh yeah, I could do this. But yeah, then I kind of just dove into more of like the physical art, like drawing and graphic design and stuff like that. And then I picked it back up in high school when me and my friend Cody, we actually we went halves on some equipment, and this program called Reason Propeller Head or whatever, or it might just be Propeller Head Reason, but that was like the first production like software that we used, and from there I went to like FL Studio and then kind of went crazy with it.
So you got in early then on the on like making beats and making sounds and stuff then.
Yeah, yeah, I've been doing it since 2011, like
And even
seriously.
and even I feel like in like a decade and a half, just I mean, just from people I've had on the show, just how much things have advanced even in that time frame, I'm sure is pretty wild with all like the plugins and stuff that you have now and the
Mhm.
different that people have. Like, is it wild as somebody who's been doing it this long, to see how much has changed in a short period of time?
Yeah, it's not surprising, but some of the tools definitely come in handy. Like as far as plugins go, I don't really use like AI anything, so I'm not gonna like really depend on robot ears to like mix or master my music. But yeah, the plugins definitely come in handy. Like a lot of the stuff that would be analog is now in the box, and it's just more accessible for like a home studio setup like I have.
So you can do and again, just because I'm like a novice, like I've never actually recorded music. I'm just trying like hell just to make the podcast sound good, man. But so when you have instruments like in your home studio and stuff, you can like plug it in and get it synced up right to the computer.
Yes, I can. I can just plug it right into this audio interface. And then I have plugins that act as like amps and all different types of effects and everything. So it's just like you're plugging into something analog.
That's sick, man. So instrument wise, what was like the because there's a lot of different ones on the record, and I know there's a lot of awesome people that worked on the record too. But instrument wise, what was the first one that grabbed you?
Uh, when I first started, it was just all keyboard. And then I picked up a bass guitar actually when we were in COVID lockdown. And then I kind of started learning how to play that. And then from there, I went to a guitar because I was like, okay, so this is basically the same thing with a couple more strings. And then I've just been addicted to both of those. So those are probably my favorites. The bass I would have to say is my favorite.
Yeah, man, it's music is it's fun when you meet other people who like really love it. Because it's just I feel like it's such an awesome time right now for music, like with all kinds of genres. Like I said, me coming from like heavy metal end of things. Like there's all kinds of stuff going on in heavy music. I feel like there's a lot of really awesome hip hop right now. Pop punk has had like this huge resurgence. But as somebody who like records and works with other people, um, do you feel like COVID? I don't know if I want to say it was like a turning point, but from like a creative standpoint, do you feel like it just kind of like sent things to another level just because so many people were locked in for so long? Because I feel like after that, just from like a heavy music perspective, pop punk, even hip hop and like genre blending, there's so much that seems like has come out post 2020. Do you kind of feel that as somebody who's been doing it, or do you just feel like it was just kind of a different modality because of the fact that there was no touring and everything?
I definitely think they started pushing like the DIY kind of movement a little bit more. They definitely made it like easier for people to record in their own homes and just send things out to like, collaborate versus going to like a studio and stuff like that. Um, in terms of like our creative process, I don't think it like sped anything up because we still take our good time on everything. Like I've been working on this project since the COVID lockdown, so I'm still gonna make sure everything's as perfect as I can make it, and then present it to the world when I feel it's ready.
Hell yeah, man. I feel like that's a good approach though too, to not rush things. Because what's the point, to rush a
Mhm.
song and have it come out and then you listen to it and you go, which, I feel like just from having different people on the show, it sounds like especially the production side of things, people who produce music, it's like never in their ears, they're like, if there's I could have tweaked this or I could have tweaked that, like they're just the perfectionism aspect of it. But all caps turned out great, man. And like for people who aren't aware of your sound, like I feel like just even from checking out the stuff that you've been releasing, and like I have Spotify and there's stuff going back to 2020, um, from rap to like funk, R&B, um, even on this record, like obviously there's keys, but there's like trumpet, there's all kinds of cool sounds. Mamacita's like I didn't have like the track names, but I'm assuming it's Mamacita, but like
Yeah.
the vibe of that one in the middle of the record um is way different than where we came from at the beginning of the record. You know what I mean? Where you're kind of like spitting and it's a positive vibe. And then I thought it was really cool how at the end of the record, um, things were like soulful and positive at the end of that one with like can't stop, won't stop, just kind of like a
Mm.
cool mantra. So I felt like it was there was a good ebb and flow to the album where it was like you had, kind of like that, you're spitting on the beginning, but it's positive. You go through kind of like some of the R&B vibes. There's also some kind of like introspective moments, like Gimme That and Rat Race, where you're kind of talking about sort of like the state of the world, trying to get by, how expensive things are, how difficult it is, people getting locked up over just like smoking pot, like
Yeah.
things, Then there's like a then there's like a really funny moment in kind of like the middle towards the end of the record, which I thought was really hilarious. When it comes out, people know exactly what I'm talking about. Um, but then I thought it was cool how kind of like the outro, it had that positive vibe again at the end of it. So anyway, there's not really a question in the man other than to say like I feel like your style is very versatile, and I feel like this was a good compilation for that for people.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so influence wise, can you give me a little insight, me and the listeners, on that? Because and I know you also have another project. Is it DYSFONK? Am I saying that right?
Yep.
So so the funk influence side of things, like where did that come? Like you mentioned starting on keys when you're younger and Swiss beats, but musically in the household, like was that something that you got from your parents, or was it something that you just kind of leaned towards? Because there's definitely some moments here where I feel like people who listen to this who are in like their 30s, 40s, or even 50s, they'll be like, oh damn, there's some soul in this dude that's probably, beyond his years.
Well, there was always like Motown and James Brown and all different types of genres playing in the house. So it's just kind of like a combination of everything that I was listening to when I was younger.
And then like nowadays, is there anybody you want to give any free shout outs to? Like in terms of R&B, soul, funk, like people doing it now?
Uh, so there's this band that I listen to a lot. They go by Hiatus Coyote, and they're just phenomenal. And if I could sing like that, I'd be out of here. Like, that's probably my favorite band at the moment, though.
So in the midst of making music, doing music production, you've obviously worked with a lot of different people. Um, at what point you mentioned like, doing stuff in high school. When did you start to find your voice, Adrian, as far as like going like, oh, I can sing, I can rap? Like at what point did the confidence kick in, or did you know you could hit certain notes and do the things that you do with your voice?
So like I've had somewhat of an idea just from singing along to like Nate Dogg songs and stuff like that. But I think I think it was like 2020 or so or 2019. I'm not sure which year it was. We were working on Laddie Moran's Crybaby project, and we were working on the last song, and we wanted to get somebody to sing on it. And then we kind of wrote the verse over the phone, and I was just messing around in the shower the one day doing some kind of like soul scream thing, and then I was like, this is the sound. This is what we're gonna go with. And then I went downstairs and recorded it, and then boom, he was like, "Yep, that's it." And then that's kind of just what started my journey of like finding and honing in on my own sound.
Yeah, because this album is the debut LP, right? Like you've done singles and you did an EP, but is this the first full length that you put out, all caps?
Yeah, this will be the first solo.
You mentioned just taking your time with it and really getting it right. And there's even some fun voicemails like at the beginning of it, kind of going into the record of like, Danny and other people like, hey man, why did you take so, put this out? Oh, just get it out to people. But as far as the process of putting together the album and putting together like a flow to the songs, um, how much do you enjoy that, man? I was just talking about this with somebody the other day. Like I know we're kind of in like this singles era, but I do feel like there's still an appetite for people to have like a front to back listen. And I feel like listening to all caps there, that definitely was the vibe. Like it's, people can skip around obviously, but like, when you listen to it from, if you start at the beginning and go to the end, it's definitely like a journey and a trip, that you took people on. So what was that process like once you had the songs that you wanted for the record in terms of the track order? Did it take you a while to kind of figure it out, or did you kind of have an idea of how you wanted to structure it?
So from the jump, I had like an idea of what I wanted it to sound like sonically. The order definitely changed around a lot. There's actually some songs on DYSFONK that were supposed to be on all caps, but then we kind of just uh took I think so Trip Tonight was originally supposed to be on all caps, but that sound kind of just sparked an entire project in itself. So we ran with that. And then there was also like a few other songs that I originally had on here, but they just didn't fit sonically, so I took them off. And then I added some more recent songs like Gimme That and which other ones? The Rain, Lady, and Lay You Down. I believe they're all newer songs, but they just fit the vibe more. So I definitely took a while to figure out how I was gonna go about it, but ultimately it worked out.
The music video is sick too, man. I really enjoyed that. And I wrote his name down. I have my notes here. I probably should have wrote bigger. My eyes are getting worse as I get older, man. Um, but was it is Samuel Solomon? Am I saying his name right?
Yep, Sam Solomon, yeah.
So for people who maybe aren't aware of it, like it's a really cool vibe. It's like like this orange background, and then there's kind of like an open part. I hope I'm describing this well for people. And you've got the mic stand, and then there's like a couple of other like B-roll footage, you walking back and forth and like sitting on a stool and stuff, and like spliced into it as you're rapping and doing your thing. But it's kind of got like I feel like a summer vibe, like just the overall depiction of the music video itself. but I thought it was really cool because it's just you doing your thing on the microphone, and it's against like a pretty cool aesthetic backdrop. What was how did you come up with that? Because I feel like that turned out really well, especially with the vibe of the song.
So I'm not sure if you're familiar with like the colors videos where they're just standing in front of a, a color and they're performing one of their songs. That's definitely where we got that idea from. We made a couple adjustments, little tweaks to make it our own, but that video is actually a performance. So
Oh,
I did the vocals on the spot as we were recording that.
that's awesome, man. I did not know that. That makes it even cooler now. But yeah, everybody listening to this, please finish the podcast first. Um, Definitely go watch it. But for you having like you mentioned drawing and stuff too, so the art background and even like the rose shirts that you have, did I think Danny mentioned you did that design yourself?
Yes, my logo I did all myself. Most of the merch, actually all the merch I did myself. The artwork for the project though, that was done by my older brother. He is an amazing graffiti writer and he can do his thing.
I haven't seen that yet. But I'm excited to see that. Um, but yeah, man, it came out really well. And this will be hitting people's ears in December. Do you know if there's a hard release date? Can we tell people that?
December 10th.
Oh, it's perfect timing then. Perfect timing. Yeah, I again it flowed really well front to back. I thought it was funny in the middle how that moment happens. And that you
Yeah,
guys
shout
have,
out Mac Wap.
oh, that's who did it?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that was hilarious, man. It was hilarious. I thought it was cool, kind of because that's kind of like an R&B kind of like slowed down vibey part of the album, and I just thought that was absolutely hysterical, man.
He
Um,
said some other stuff that might have got me in trouble, but I had to cut it out.
I was gonna say the thing that he left in, some people might be like, "Whoa," um,
Yeah, yeah.
it was funny. It was funny, man. Um, and doing this one yourself, man. I mean, you've worked with a lot of people. You mentioned Laddie. He was on the Lloyd EP that you put out, which I think was coming up on 2 years ago now. I want to say it was like January 2023, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Um, I really loved Money Talks with him on that one. Stalemate, I really loved too. Um, I won't air out personal stuff other than say I related to that one lyrically, as I'm sure a lot of people can. Um, but yeah, I mean, doing the Lloyd EP, did you feel like that was kind of a good I guess like preface or like a good lead in to doing the record? I mean, obviously they're different vibes, but that one I think was like seven or so tracks if I'm not mistaken. So even though it's like considered I think an EP, um, I gotta imagine an undertaking like that kind of helps prepare you to do this album.
So I was working on both at the same time. That one was more of just like getting my feelings out at that time. Like I just wanted to get it all out so I don't have to deal with it anymore. Sonically, that one, yeah, it's definitely different. It's more of like that underground sound, like kind of lo-fi. That project was actually co-produced by Young Music, who's a producer on All Caps. But yeah, yeah, he definitely just sent me like a pack of beats and I was like, yeah, these all sound like they go together. Let me just do that.
It turned out great, man. Like as I was going back and listening to your stuff going into All Caps, I really enjoyed that one. Listened to that one a few times on the way through too. There's a lot of people on All Caps. Danny gave me all the names, and I don't want to miss anybody, but do you kind of want to like talk about some of the people as far as because there's some cool like sax moments on here, trumpet, great production, awesome guitar. Do you want to kind of shout out some of the people who brought in some of the sounds on this one, man, for All Caps?
Yeah, yeah, of course. Shout out to Mo Lewis on the sax. Shout out to Young Music on the trumpet. He also made some beats too. Well, co-produced some beats. On guitar we had Zach Anderson and an artist from Lancaster goes by Malcolm. Um, There's some other producers as well, like Ronus, who goes by RXS Infinite. He's actually from Germany, but he's an amazing producer as well. And can't think of anybody else who's doing production.
Yeah, I wrote them
Yeah,
down.
yeah,
I think you got
yeah. I
them.
think I got them all.
And then like as far as the other people who were featured on the record, Laddie Moran, Sir
Yep.
Dominic Jordan, JDP, who I know you've been working with for a while, and then I didn't want to say it. Is it Naby and Rady? I don't
Niby,
Nyby. Okay, see that's what I was.
Niby Perez, and Raldi.
Raldy. Okay. My bad handwriting. I was like, my eye. It's an L. It's an L, not an I, Mike. Um, but yeah, man, it turned out great, man. I feel like Rat Race, that one I feel like could definitely be a sick music video too, especially with like the sax and everything. That one could be a really like almost like a short film type of vibe. I don't know if you've had that in the back of your mind as doing a music video, but I listening to that one, that
Definitely, definitely did. I'm not sure if you ever saw the movie Rat Race, but that's kind of like the picture that I had in my head as I was putting that together.
for real.
Like where they're all like driving, where and like kind of like it's almost like Mario Kart, where they're trying to mess each other up.
Classic, man. Classic.
Yeah,
Classic Lovitz in that one, man. I don't feel like the world gets enough of John Lovitz. He was great.
and Mr. Bean too.
Mr. Bean. Oh man. Seth Green, right, was in that one.
I believe
Whoopi.
so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's a classic one, man. Now for you, as somebody who makes music too, dude, like and making beats and stuff, do you also enjoy like movie scores? Do you get into stuff like that and like instrumentals or like whether it's like trip hop or like lo-fi stuff, like what inspires you when you're making beats, or do you try to stay away from stuff and kind of just play what's in your own head?
It really depends. Like, if the movie uses actual songs, I'm probably more inclined to like be inspired by that. When it comes to just like straight up scores, like Star Wars type stuff, I don't know if I'm that inspired. There are some movies though that like stand out, like the Black Panther movies. They definitely stand out when it comes to their scores. But I think that's just because of the guy behind them. He's also responsible for like all of Childish Gambino's music.
Oh, for real? I didn't know that. The dude who did Black Panther?
Yep. Yep. He also did Redbone. Well, that entire album he did actually.
Yeah, I always wonder when people can cross over into to doing that for movies and stuff too, because I feel like that's a whole different undertaking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He actually started with TV and film first. He was like he was the guy for the show Community, and that's how him and Donald Glover linked up, and then they started making music together.
That's sick, man. I think the first time I saw Donald Glover was in it was like a funny YouTube video when I was in college. Um, you know what I'm talking about? It was
I feel like I do. They were in like the classroom and stuff.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like my um God, somebody show a dude I was in class with showed me that me and my buddy Matt. And I remember we were watching it like in the library at the University of Toledo. I was like, I don't think we should be watching this and, and here people are trying to study and stuff. But yeah, when he started like doing his thing and like breaking on like a mainstream level. I always thought about that. I was like, man, he started out doing this really funny, zany stuff, and then he became like this big pop culture icon and like crossed over into doing all that. It was cool. It was cool to see that journey. And even oh gosh, was it Bobby Moynihan? I think was also in that sketch, and he went on to do like SNL and stuff. So
You know,
yeah,
got to start somewhere.
yeah, it's crazy, man. Like the stuff that pops, especially with YouTube, the amount of people that's like broken and you know, gone on to do bigger things. Um, but speaking of like linking up with people, man, for people listening, and thanks again, Adrian, for doing this, man. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. with you, learning more about your musical journey, man. But like I said, Danny Shaw, friends of the show, shout out. They've been on multiple times, really good dudes. Um, for people who aren't aware of the story, how did you link up with Danny and Big Al, man?
So Dan actually reached out to us to do the show at the DLZ house in Lancaster. And apparently he was like really impressed with our performances, and he hit us up again and he was like, "Do you guys have a manager?" And we were like, "No." And he's like, "Do you want one?" So that's kind of how we linked up and started our journey.
Yeah, and you guys have done shows like I know when Shaw was coming out with some of his new stuff, like you guys have played what, like DC, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, obviously where you're based. Um, how cool was it at some of those spots, man? Like I remember when Danny was posting that on the Big L Instagram page, and it had like a cool kind of like I don't even know. It's like it was like a real intimate vibe at some of these spots. Like a cool, almost like an art house type of vibe. Like what was that like? Just kind of doing. I know there was like that the weekend summer tour. Like what
Yeah.
was those live gigs, man?
That was dope. So open market, that was that was kind of like a revisit because we actually went down there last year too. But yeah, no, that shop is awesome. They have so much like clothing. They have like they have a TV with like retro video games and stuff like that. So like you could play Nintendo 64 before you go on and perform. It was dope. They also get like food and stuff like that. So yeah, that vibe was really cool. All the people down there are amazing too. Um, so and then we went up to New Jersey, and that was a record store slash bookstore. That was pretty dope too. The venue was pretty dope. It was a little bit more open, but it was still cool. Um, so there, I just want to tell a little story about like the Airbnb though, because I guess the Airbnb looked a lot bigger in the pictures than it was in real life, and it was me, Dan, and Laddie staying at the Airbnb, and there was a one bed, and there was a couch, and we had to decide where everybody was sleeping. And so Laddie picked the couch, and it was like half a love seat. It was more like a chair than a couch. So he was not having a good time. And me and Dan, we had to go head to toe on the bed, kind of sacrificed, but it was still a fun trip.
Yeah, dude, it's wild how like those Airbnb pictures, how they can really like soup those up and make it look different. You know what I mean? The angle shots, like
Yep.
even now when I go on to like realtor.com and stuff, if I see like there's no lights on in the place, I'm like, nope. And then you'll see like real high shots like from the corner of the room. I remember my ex and I we took a trip to Denver, and it was a nice Airbnb, but same thing. It was one of those things where like when you walked in, it was kind of like an open loft setup,
Mm.
which is kind of dope. But then it's also like there's no like closed rooms, like everything was open. So like the living room wall, like the bed and everything was on the other side of it, and we were by the old train station. But the only thing that sucked was like at night at like 3 a.m. you'd hear trains just like bah, 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 like hauling stuff like literally like right behind where we were. So I would just get jolted at like 3 in the morning, like waking up. But yeah, that's wild. Well, kudos to you guys because like I remember in eighth grade when we went to DC, man. There was like four of us in a room, and it was Catholic school stuff. So like all the girls were on one floor, all the boys were on the other, and then at night they would, the chaperones and the teachers and the priests and stuff, they would put tape over your door so they know if you they know if you left. It was like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
they,
I
they did that at football camp too.
yeah. But I remember like when we went to DC, man, like two of us would sleep, which I would never do now because it's like the idea of sleeping on a hotel floor is like disgusting. But like 14, we were like, no, like one night, two dudes, like each of us would get a bed, and then two dudes would be on the floor. But no, kudos to you, you and Danny going head to toe. Because yeah, I can't sleep on a floor now, man. Couldn't do it. I'd
There's
wake
no way.
too many aches and pains. Um, but yeah, the roster that Big L has, man, and what Danny's doing, and obviously he's a sick drummer in his own right, man, and has been part of a lot of awesome music over the years. Um, what has it been like linking up with him? And obviously you have a friendship with Laddie and Shaw, but the music that you guys are putting out, and I'm not just saying this because you're kind enough to do the show, man. Like you guys are putting out some really fire work, man. Like it's like seeing Shaw's releases, listening to All Caps, and listening to Laddie's music, man. And I know he's got stuff coming on the way too. Um, but what is it like collaborating with these guys, man? Because beyond the music, it seems like there's really good friendships here too with Big Eleanor.
Um, so business wise, it was definitely like an adjustment because me and Laddie have never been a part of a label. He's had managers, I haven't. So that was kind of like something to get used to. But like friend wise, they're bros now. Like it's family. Like we'll get in on a Zoom meeting and we'll just talk about random stuff for like a half hour before we even get into anything that has to do with the actual label stuff. But yeah, it's definitely good vibes.
Yeah, Danny's good people, man. I think he first got in touch with me, gosh, probably like almost 3 years ago, right around 3 years ago. I think it was end of 21, maybe early 22. So it's just time is a trip, man. Like the older you get, it's like, damn. But no, he's good people. And then getting Sean and then having him on a couple months ago, and even just the excitement when he was talking about the music that you guys are making. And he sent me a couple of a handful of tracks that weren't out yet, that were fire with like you and Laddie. And I know Shaw's got more new stuff on the way, so it's an exciting time, man. And for you, you mentioned like you and Laddie. How long have you guys known each other, man?
Probably like I think like 10 years now. Yeah, I think 10 years.
And
And
how did you guys meet? Was it like through like the music scene, or like how did you guys meet?
so kinda. So I wasn't 21 yet, and I was working at Giant at the time, stocking shelves. And my brother and my mom went to an Afro Man show, and Laddie opened for them. And I would have been there too if I was 21. But yeah, my brother came back and he was like, "Yo, you got to check out this Laddie Moran guy. He's really dope. Maybe send him some beats or something." So I looked him up and I was like, "Yeah, this guy is definitely fire." And then I reached out to Laddie. He was working on his cartoons and cereal mixtape at the time, and he was still looking for an intro. So I sent him some beats for the intro, and yeah, just kind of went from there. And he's family now too. Like his family's my family's his family. Like definitely tight relationship right there.
So without scooping anything before Danny wants to put it out, and I've heard some of it, but how excited are you for what he's got cooking? Because I some of the tracks that I heard with him and you were pretty sick, man.
Oh, I'm definitely excited. I'm cooking alongside him, so so it's definitely attached to those tracks probably more than your average listener.
And for all caps, like when people hear this, it'll be out. But merch wise, we're recording about a month before it's out, mid November, for people listening. But merch wise, can you give me a little scoop of what you got on deck, like things that you have planned? And again, I don't want to spoil anything if there's stuff that isn't to be released, but I know Shaw did vinyl recently, which was really
Oh
cool.
man, I would love to do the vinyl run. Um, I believe we are going to get some kind of physicals though. I think we might start off as discs first, like CDs. We'll probably have some shirts. Uh, yeah, I don't know if there's too much in the works as of right now, but I'm sure I'll probably come up with some ideas while we wait for the album to drop.
But vinyl is something that you're wanting to do.
Yeah, that's been like a goal of mine for years and years. Even my dad hit me up. He was like, "So when's that vinyl coming out? When am I gonna get a record?"
So on that, off the dome, and I know I didn't prep you for this, but can you give me some of your favorite album artwork, especially somebody who has done drawing, graphic design and stuff like that?
Dang, dang. Off the dome. Dang. Uh, so there's a project by Snoop Dogg. It was called Snoopzilla. That one pretty much inspired like the artistic direction behind the all caps cover. Uh, it was like a mix between that and there was an Earth Gang project called Rags and Royalty or Rags, Riches and Royalty, I believe it was. And it was like a three-part project, and the artwork on there kind of influenced as well. Um, I don't know if you listen to Flatbush Zombies, but the artwork on 3001, The Latest Odyssey, that was like some animated artwork as well, and that one was really dope. Uh, Trying to think of other iconic ones though that would really jump out to me. Those are probably like top three influential towards this one, but in terms of just like the vibe I get from looking at an album, I would probably say like the Black Swan by Smino album. That one jumps out at me a lot. Because
You give
like
me some stuff to check out now, man.
yeah, looking at the Smino album though, like it sounds how it looks. Like all the colors that he used on there, that's exactly what the album feels like and sounds like.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah, there's some really cool stuff out there. Even the vinyl that's coming out now too, like the different color variants and things that you can do. Um even a lot of like metal stuff I see like the blood spatter vinyl and stuff, but now there's just like crazy like glow in the dark and multicolor and marble. Like there's a lot of
I
really
saw
cool
this
stuff.
one. I saw this one as it spins, it's like an animated little guy doing something. And I was like, how? How did you even do that? Like it looks like a cartoon while it's spinning. I was like, what? And it was some
It's cra
rapper, I believe.
it's crazy, man. Like it's crazy or what was the thing like way back in the day? I actually watched a video on it on like Instagram. I like hacked my own Instagram algorithm so I don't see like crazy awful stuff. It's mostly like music and shoes and
I did the
nature
same.
and like funny stuff. And I saw one
Get those
where
booty cheeks out of here. Like,
well I'll leave that one alone. But I saw one where the dude took he took Biggie and like did the actual like where people are like, oh, putting it on wax, like the actual old what's the oh God, the thing with like the horn and like actually showed where it's like playing it like into like the wax or whatever, and like that's how you heard like the music back in the day. You know what I'm talking about? Like
yeah.
really really old looking record player with like I'm butchering it for people listening. They'll probably be like, what's this guy talking about? But he literally like
Go look up any movie from the 30s or 40s or whatever time period that was.
but it was just so crazy like the like because obviously the vinyl album has like the grooves and stuff, but like to actually see him take Notorious B.I.G. on this thing and like put it down, put it in the thing and like have it carved through, and I was like, damn, that is just so it's so wild like how people made music, or even like recording albums, which I know a lot of artists still do it, actually putting it to tape and like cut the tape and doing it like analog versus digital. It's
Yeah.
wild, man.
Yeah, it definitely gives it like a different feel, a different warmth.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. That's why I think it's an interesting time. The AI stuff makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah, I
Because
don't like it.
now now there's stuff coming out, whether it's like Juice World or Biggie or whoever, and it's like AI will listen to it and it'll make a song, and you're like, how is this? It's crazy. It's crazy. The Arnold stuff is hilarious, but
I
yeah,
mean, Plankton singing Keisha Cole, that's entertainment.
uh,
But yeah, if somebody's like seriously making songs like that are to be consumed like other music with AI, am not on board with that.
yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it all pans out. Because like I said, the Arnold stuff is it's like it's hilarious, but then part of you also like somebody did it recently to, and it really made me laugh, but it also kind of freaked me it freaked me out because it was like perfect. They did it to Bone Thugs. So there was like the Whitney Houston one, and then there was the Bone Thugs one, and I was like, oh my God, like this is wild. But the stuff where they can actually take just, a few minutes of somebody's voice, or even a conversation like this and make like a whole AI conversation, that's the stuff that kind of trips me out.
Yeah.
So I mean, and in music anyway, there's always people who like are gonna try to catch a wave or whatever like the cool sound is. There's always gonna be copycat type stuff going on. Um, but yeah, the AI component of it, I don't know. I wonder what kind of guardrails there'll be, especially on streaming services where there's so much new music getting released all the time. Like how they'll be able to tell, or I don't know. I think true artists like yourselves, though, you guys will still be making the music. So, that's never gonna go away. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see the AI component of it. Especially from production. I think maybe that's where it could be kind of a good thing for people who don't have the money. You don't think so? I'm just thinking
No,
in terms of like editing and stuff. Like it might help make editing faster. No, you disagree?
no, I disagree. I feel like taking the human out of it kind of defeats the purpose of making art. Like even for Photoshop and stuff like that, like do it yourself.
Well, the human element, that part of it, I agree with. I guess I was thinking more of uh like editing, like the editing component, or like for example for podcasting. So I most of the time there's not a lot of stuff I don't have to like take out during the actual conversation. Usually I don't have people saying like wild stuff, like wild stuff. So I don't. I usually it's for the most part it's pretty much just like the raw conversation, which is how I like to keep it. Um, and then I like sandwich the stuff together and put in like an intro and a close and a song from the artist if they let me use one. And that's pretty much the whole kit and caboodle. But where an AI component has helped me is like when I do the video shorts for the podcast, where I do like a teaser clip from the episode, like I'll do for this, is like the auto captions and stuff like that, versus typing in all those manually. So but that part,
That's acceptable, but like when it comes to like the human ears, I just don't think that it's right to replace them.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that 100%. Um, I think I don't know. It'll be interesting. Technology, I feel like always goes way too quick, but I'm just hoping and praying it's not going to be like Terminator 2 Judgment Day in our lifetimes. Where we
Yeah,
have
no,
like
there needs to be some kind of regulation though.
I th I feel like they'll be able to tell, right? Because didn't hasn't that happened recently with some of the music? I know that happened in like there were in like metalcore. There's a guy out of my show. Shout out to the band Saving Vice, and he was telling me about how uh, they put all these songs out, and it was kind of like using like other like established artist names, and they kind of figured it out because the artists themselves were like, well, that's not me. I think that was kind of like what happened. So I feel like as stuff like that unfortunately continues to happen, the Spotify's and Apple's and Amazon Musics of the world will kind of crack down on it because that's money out of the artist's pocket, right? If somebody's using your image, your likeness, your voice, and they're putting it to a beat like that's and it's getting streams, like it's taking away from guys like you or who are actually making the music, right? So I feel like
Yeah.
there'll have to be some guardrails around that.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think like in terms of like writing the music too, I think if you're an artist using AI to like write lyrics and stuff like that, why are you even making music?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because like, yeah, whether it's like a really good sad song or a really angsty song, you know, like again, not to get too autobiographical here, but a couple years ago I went through some rough stuff, man, and I wore out Goodbye and Good Riddance from Juice World, and it's hard to imagine like AI writing that stuff versus Juice, you know what I mean? It's you want to hear the artist in the song, or if you go back and listen to some like really early Slipknot and Corey Taylor just going bananas and just how angry and like crazy it was.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. Well, this has been fun, Adrian. I really appreciate the time. Again, as this is hitting everybody's ears, All Caps is going to be out where they can get their music. And I guess just put a button on this bad boy. And thanks again so much, man. I'm always
yeah, of
conscious,
course.
probably too self-conscious about how much I rant. So I hope I didn't rant too much on this one. But with the theme of the show being perseverance and moving forward, man, that's like the mantra of March 4th. Is there anything that you want to share with the listeners out there, whether people are up or down, especially this time of year? We're getting ready to head into 2025. Um, Anything that's helped you cope over the years or get to a better place after you went through a period of darkness?
It won't last forever, regardless of if it's highs or lows. It won't last forever. There's always going to be ups and downs. Um, Tomorrow has a chance to be brighter than yesterday.
Hell yeah, man. Well, dude, this has been fun. Once again, everybody go check out All Caps. The links to everything will be in the podcast description for this episode. So I appreciate it, man. I'm really excited for you. I'm really excited for everything that Big L is doing, man. I can't wait to hear Laddie's new stuff. Um, can't wait to hear your new stuff after All Caps too. But yeah, man, this has been fun. You're welcome back anytime.
But I appreciate it.
Alrighty, dighty, there you have it. That was my conversation with Adrian Rose, artist, producer, engineer, musician, member of the Big Eleanor Records family. Make sure you go follow him on Instagram at Adrian Rose Music. The links to all of his stuff will be in the podcast description for this episode. So just scroll down to the bottom of that podcast description, hit those links, and go follow and support Adrian Rose. Once again, his debut album, All Caps, is out now, available wherever you get your music. So go run up the numbers, go watch the video for Where We Came From. It's a really cool artistic vibe in that. I really love it. And as you guys heard in that, that was a performance he actually did. Really enjoyed it, man. So I just want to say directly to Adrian, thank you so much, my guy, for coming on the podcast and let me in on your musical process. How you got into music, making this record, linking up with Big L. I'm a big fan of what you're doing, dude. For real, you got a great voice, you got a great ear, and I appreciated your thoughts on production and stuff too, in terms of keeping it natural and having actual humans working on it instead of AI replacing things and kind of losing that human touch, man. It just shows that we've still got legit artists like yourself out there that want to be part of the process from A to Z, and the proof is in the pudding with your record, All Caps, dude. So thank you so much for taking the time. And again, big shout out to Danny Nono who set this up. Happy holidays to everybody over at the Big L family, man. From Adrian to Danny to Shaw to Laddie. Big fan of what they're doing. And I'll put up a link for Big L too, so you guys can check out the rest of the roster, man, because they're sick. But yeah, man, it's just all love all the way around. Again, I really enjoy this record. And I think Where We Came From is such a dope single to lead things off to, and the release and the way they put it out. And it's been a great year for Big Eleanor, man. They've done so many cool things. So I'm really excited for what's in store for 2025 for that whole roster. So thank you to everybody listening. Once again, you can follow me on Instagram at March 4th Pod. I am on YouTube at March 4th Pod. The links to all of my stuff are in the podcast description as well. So if you did enjoy what you just heard with Adrian, if you would be so kind, take the time to like and subscribe. That way you don't miss any future episodes. You can go back and listen to the back catalog. You can listen to those previous episodes with Danny and Shaw to learn more about Big L. And if you leave a rating and review, it goes a long way in helping the show rank higher in these algorithms out here. So whether it's Spotify, Apple, iHeart, whatever I'm hitting your eardrums today, Those things go a long way in helping the show get out to more people. And that's what I want, man. I want to put more people on to dope artists like Adrian Rose, dude. It's just it's really cool when you meet humble, down to earth creators who care about their craft, who care about their art. And this dude's doing all of it, man. So it's really cool. This shows a great example of just how fortunate I feel to have been able to come across great creators, people who love music. And like I said at the beginning of this episode, Danny and I go back almost 3 years now, I want to say. So I just feel really fortunate that our paths our paths crossed. I swear, dude, I got like bird brain today. I don't know what's going on. But for real though, good people all the way around. And if you love hip hop, if you love good soulful vibes, if you love funk, if you love great production, all of it is on this record. From Adrian, from the features on this record, um, both musically wise, in terms of the instrumentation, like you guys heard, in addition to the features lyrically and vocally. Um, it's just a great front to back listen, dude. So thank you again to Adrian. Once again, go follow him at Adrian Rose Music. And thank you again to all of you. Happy holidays to you and yours. I hope that everybody closes out 2024 on a high note. I'm going to close this bad boy out by saying what I say at the end of every episode as a tribute to my Gramp. Keep the faith and be kind to one another and be kind to yourselves. Courtesy of Adrian Rose, off of his debut album, All Caps. Here is the lead single, Where We Came From. Peace.
Say I changed, said that I switched it